Hi everyone, this is Ernesto from Attaboy Cowboy. On this channel we give tips on real estate investing and personal finances to help you avoid some of the common pitfalls that people fall into when they're new to investing. If you've never subscribed to our channel, please do. So how do you deal with difficult tenants? Today I'm going to show you 10 tips for dealing with difficult tenants. Coming up. Okay, rule number 1, always be courteous. Remember, your tenants are your customers. So you want to be courteous to your customers and treat them with respect. Sometimes when I catch myself having negative thoughts about someone, I even remind myself, hey, that's your customer, just don't think about that stuff. You don't get anything out of it, so just keep it neutral. Even when you have those people that are really getting on your nerves, just try to stay away from that. Just try to be cool, and the better you are at that, the easier it's going to be for you to be a good landlord or a good manager. Because you're not going to let things get through to you. They're not going to bother you because you're going to have thick skin. Rule number 2, make communication impersonal. In fact, I try to keep all of my communication to email. Number 1. Number 2, text, and if I absolutely have to, which is probably 1% of the time, I'll communicate through phone calls. But keeping things impersonal is great because you don't get to feel the emotions. Something someone might have done might upset you, like they just told you, oh, I just threw a bunch of baby wipes in my toilet and I overflowed it. Now all the hardwood floors are warped. You gonna come fix it? First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna probably start yelling. You're gonna jump through the roof, but you don't need that. So when it's written and they write you something, even if it's something negative, you have a little bit of time to kind of catch your breath and chill out, and then write a response that is more relaxed. Remember, your communications can always be used against you in a court of law. So you want to keep things impersonal. You also want a record of your communication in case you have to go to court with people. Or if they make agreements and they want to back out of their agreements, then you have a written record of stuff. It's really, really useful. I open a folder for every tenant in my email account and I categorize all their emails. You'd be surprised, even the most mundane emails can be useful. I've had cases where I had to go to court and the tenant was someone that just complained all the time. And the judge said, well, what are they complaining about? You know, that's a general statement. And I said, well, here, look at all these emails. The person was emailing me 2-3 times a day about cats in the neighborhood, dogs barking in the street, the mailman being late, things that were totally beyond my control. He even complained about the other houses in the street. He said that they were ugly and his friends were not wanting to come visit him because says the neighborhood looked unwelcoming. Things that I have no control over. So that actually helped me win my case because the judge saw that this person was kind of unreasonable. It shows a pattern of behavior. So you definitely want to keep all your communication. It protects you. And again, you want to make sure that you keep your communications professional, and if for some reason they write about something that could be a problem for you, you can choose, depending on what's being said, to kind of grade your responses so that those responses are also not used against you. Remember, you do not have to respond to things. So just keep that in mind. Number 3, always consult with others. The top 3 people that I consult with is number 1, I contact the housing authority. They're a great resource. They usually have retired apartment managers that are sage experts. They have a lot of experience. They can give you a lot of insight into things that people might be planning or trying to do. It's a really great resource and it's really inexpensive. And in the city I live, I pay $100 a year. And I can call them as much as I want. So it's a really, really great resource to use. Number 2, your attorney. You should have an attorney that you use for evictions. I use a large law firm, and as part of their service, they allow free phone calls. I can ask them for advice about stuff, and I'm not sure. I ask them things on details and details and details. Even when I think I might know the answer, they'll come up with something new. And number 3, I talk to other landlords. I have a friend that owns 50 buildings, another friend that has 40 buildings, etc. I call them, and nobody knows better than landlords, because those guys are they're the foot soldiers. They're the people in the trenches dealing with tenants every day. You want to at least get to know a few experienced landlords that you can talk to on a personal basis and just say, hey, look, lay all your cards out, and they'll give you some really good advice. If you don't know anybody, that's another way to meet some through your apartment association. They typically have meetings every month or every couple months. You can go there and mingle, and you can meet other people, you can get ideas, you can get strategies. So definitely a resource you want to look into. Rule number 4, delayed gratification. So when someone text messages you, they want to see a response, right? Well, in your everyday life, that might be true with your wife, your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. But with tenants, it's different. You gotta treat it differently. Don't respond to texts and emails unless it's an absolute emergency, like a water leak, something that can actually damage your building. Otherwise, I typically wait a few hours and even a few days sometimes, or I don't respond. If it's something that's inconsequential and they really shouldn't be asking me, I kind of let them know they shouldn't be asking me by not telling them directly but not responding. That way I don't get on a bad foot with them, but they understand, like, hey, don't ask me how to use the washing machine, or don't ask me when am I going to repaint the inside of their apartment. There are things that they can refer to their lease about, and they're not really that urgent, so I can respond to them later on down the line. Also, if you set the precedent that they can just call you and ask you questions or email you or text you, and they feel like you're going to respond right away, believe me, they're going to keep writing and they're going to keep calling you. So that's why I do not accept phone calls. If they happen to call me for something and I know it's not, and I know it's them, I just don't answer. But if they happen to call me from a different number and I answer, I cut them off right away and I say, hey, listen, I don't communicate over the phone. I'm really busy and I'm right in the middle of something. So please send me an email with what it is, this is regarding. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I hang up. Don't do that. Don't let people contact you because they'll take up all your time. I have tenants that in the beginning, when I didn't know what I was doing, would call me constantly. It was really stressful. I'd stay up at night. I had tenants calling me at 3, 4 in the morning. Oh, there's a car alarm going off outside. Oh, I think there's someone in my yard. You're a landlord. You're not a police officer. So those are all things they need to call the police for, or call the city for, or whatever. They're not things for me to deal with. Your job is to provide a safe and habitable environment. So make sure everything functions in the apartment, and that's it. I'm not worried or concerned about what's happening in the surrounding environment. That's for them to deal with however they feel appropriate. Rule number 5, avoid personal contact. Don't collect rents in person. That could be dangerous. Have your tenants drop rent at a drop box or deposit into a bank account or wire it electronically or some other way. And when it comes to communication, if I happen to be working on a property and they want to talk to me, I'll tell them, hey, I'm really focused on fixing this right now. Can we talk about this a little bit later? And then they'll usually say, yeah, sure. If they're really pushy, they'll say, hey, you know what? No, this can't wait. I need to talk to you right now. I'll let them talk, and then I'll just keep working on what I'm working on. And I'll say, well, let me think about that. I'll get back to you later. You don't want to have face-to-face conversations with people because that can lead to confrontation. If for some reason you have to say some things to the person that you don't want to be recorded in a message, you can say it in person, but even still, always be polite, always be courteous, and remember your tenants can be recording you. So it's best to just keep communication to e-communication. That way you have a record and you don't get in sticky situations with them. Rule number 6, don't spread negative energy. You're always going to get one of these Debbie Downers that's going to try to ruin your day. They're going to be calling all sorts of agencies on you or threatening you or doing all kinds of stuff. And I'm sure in your mind you're going to start thinking about ways you can get back at them. Don't do it. You don't want to reciprocate this stuff. You're just adding fuel to the fire. I've had tenants that have been a real pain in the butt. They follow me around. They tell me they're going to beat me up. They wait outside my door, knocking my door, yelling at me to come out so they can fight me. I just call the cops and let them deal with it. Don't engage in negative behavior. There's no usefulness to it. It's just, you're just spreading more negative energy. And what you're really doing is causing this person to come after you even harder. So make your life easy. Don't engage. Rule number 7, set standards. Stick to your lease agreement and stick to your rules. Don't vary from it. As soon as you start deviating, believe me, those tenants, they're going to hold it against you and you're going to become their enemy. I've had tenants where I excused a month's late fee because they gave me some great excuse, and then the next month they were late again and I held them to it. And they said, wow, they were texting me all these bad words, cussing me out, saying I was a jerk because I wouldn't do it for them again. If you do it once, they're going to expect it again. So don't do it. Also, your tenants are going to talk. They talk 100% of the time. So if you do a favor for one tenant, they're going to tell the other tenants, and then they're going to say, hey, this guy is discriminating against me because of my race, age, sex, whatever. So don't do it. You're opening up a Pandora's box. So just avoid that situation entirely. Just set the standards. Be very consistent, kind of like a robot. That will actually help you to have a better relationship with your tenants because they'll know what to expect from you and you'll be very reliable. Rule number 8, be private. Don't share your personal life with tenants, and they're not your friends. Remember, these are your customers. So if they sometimes want to share a few details with you about themselves, feel free to listen in, but don't reciprocate. You want to maintain a distance between yourself and tenants. When you start sharing your personal life with them, they're going to expect some leniency from you when they're late or they don't have all their rent or something like that. They're going to say, hey, this guy, I told him my mom was sick or I'm sick or I lost my job or whatever the issue is. And look at how harsh he's being with me. So they're telling you that for a reason. Usually they're telling you about their mishaps because they want something from you. That's usually they want leniency, and you don't want to have to deal with that. So don't. So don't get personal with people. If you need some friends, make some friends somewhere else. Go to the YMCA or go to some club or something, but don't make friends with the tenants. They're your customers, so keep a business-like relationship. Rule number 9, diminish your authority. So when you own buildings or apartments, it feels pretty cool. You're like, wow, okay, I did something, I achieved something. It's a good feeling, but keep it to yourself. You don't need to tell everybody that. With your tenants, tell everybody you're the manager. Even if you are the owner, you're not lying by telling them you're the manager, because you're also the manager. Tenants always ask, are you the owner? Do you own this place? And they'll be really nice to me. And then when I tell them I'm the manager, they'll change. You'll see okay. And then they'll start talking to you kind of dry. And that's cool. That's what you want. So that when they get upset about whatever, if they ever do, they'll direct it towards the other person, not you. You want to maintain a good relationship with them. Let them think you're the manager. When you have to tell them things that are not pleasant, then you can talk to them in the third person. You could say, hey, listen, Joe Schmo, you owe late fee for this month. And the owner doesn't excuse late fees. He's really strict on it. He expects them every month if you're late after the first of the month, after 12 midnight or whatever the case might be. And then he might start venting to you, God, that guy's a real jerk, and you can listen for a little bit and say, yeah, I understand. Well, I'm just doing my job. And then they'll see you in a positive light. So they'll say, yeah, this guy's pretty fair. He kind of just does his job. Okay, so they'll be cool with you. As soon as they know you're the owner, things change. You're all of a sudden a really greedy, wealthy person that's just robbing them of their money every month. Rule number 10, and probably the most important one, is don't try to make everyone happy. Remember, the customer is not always right. And sometimes you're going to run into people, tenants, that you're just not going to be able to make happy. So if you can't, ask them to leave. And if they won't leave, evict them. I know there's the 80-20 rule, but in my experience, it's like the 10-90 rule. It's like 10% of tenants make 90% of the headache. I have tenants that have lived in my buildings for years, and I have contact with them maybe once a year, twice. Then I have tenants that contact me daily, and those are the ones you do not want. Those are the ones that are going to drive you to the grave, cause you to get ulcers. Like my buddy that has 40 buildings, he got throat cancer. You just don't need that in your life. You don't, whatever it is, let someone else deal with them. And you're probably doing them a favor also, because for whatever reason, if they're not happy with you, it's just they're not happy with you. Sometimes it doesn't work out. It's like going on a date. Not every girl I go out with is gonna like me, right? So you try to go out with the ones that, you keep going out with the ones that like you, and the ones that don't, well, they'll find their path somewhere else. So don't try to keep every tenant. Keep the ones that you can maintain a good relationship. And if you find that you're having problems with a lot of tenants, you definitely have to look at yourself and figuring out what you're doing. You're probably not applying the 10 rules I just gave you. So if you're not getting along with tenants, then you need to distance yourself. That's the best medicine for saving those relationships. Thank you for watching. Please like my video, and I look forward to reading your comments and responding.